Hello there. Thank you for joining Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we talk about 2 to 3 cool stories out there in the tech news, makerspace things, people out there having interesting new ideas happening. And then we wrap up with a fun library tidbit for you to come back and use for the library system here. As always, you can reach Creation Station at Broward.org if you have any ideas or stories you want us to share. Today, my co-host is Miss Lauren Odom. How are you doing today, Miss Lauren?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone.
And Lauren is out at at ARLIC, at the African American Research Library and Cultural Center. I opened that up. Staff to open that building a million years ago. It feels like it was great.
Yeah.
I am going to get right into this and share my browser so that we can start with this. It has been a Mars kind of a week for everybody. I really hope. Last Thursday, if you were here, we showed the actual landing on Mars for the rover for Perseverance, and you may have noticed this image right here as we were watching the live video. The parachute that opens up as the lander was descending off of the skyhook comes down, and it's actually encoded with a message. Did you find that message out there, Lauren?
I did. I saw that. Dear Mighty Things. Yeah.
And I thought it was, and so here's the decoding bit that they did for this story here. And you can see each of the different rings. Of the 4 different rings, each one represents in binary, showing out things like that. So it's really it's a nice way, kind of an Easter egg type of thing for NASA to be going out and doing. Have you noticed some of the other stuff that's been coming off the rover lately this week?
No.
One of the
No. Oh, I did
pictures
see that. The
down
the
here was
family
that.
picture. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought this was some NASA engineer out there figured out all of his tolerances, and he figured that he could actually etch into the metal the picture of all the different little rovers that have gone on Mars over time. And I thought that was just like so much fun for them to be
Yeah,
able
it's
to do
really
that. I mean,
cute.
all this and the science that goes into that, because you can't just like take apart and punch holes in it, because now all of a sudden you've weakened or you've done something. So I thought it was a really fun idea for them of how that kind of stuff goes, and how these scientists just really are really into being fanboys and really being fans of the stuff. And that it's not just a job, it's not just the science, it's, oh no, look what we could do, look what we could play with. And apparently
Right.
there's
They have
a
fun
lot
with
of
it.
other
Mm.
tricks like that up there. They said that there's stuff on previous rovers that nobody's discovered yet.
To me, it put me in the mind of like when archaeologists have these great digs and they find these codes and things that they uncover years into the future. And I feel like this will one day be one of those historical artifacts that they're trying to figure out what does it mean, and
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, there's all sorts of really great stuff happening out there with that. The other Mars story that's out there today for everybody, just yesterday, China's rover made it into orbit around Mars. They won't land for another 3 or 4 weeks, but their spaceship arrived, and so now it is out there getting around, so that they'll be able to drop off their own individual rover to for the Chinese government now. If you noticed a few weeks ago when we talked about this, we seem to have been on Mars for almost a month. There's always been a very cool story about it. And there's 6 different countries now that are out there circling Mars of some sort. So it's a really good thing to see the international community out there doing. Unfortunately, and I didn't have a news story to go pull this up on directly, but I did want to point out all the way down at the bottom here. On Monday of this week, China moved out their large rocket for testing before they launch their first part of their own space station. So, Lauren, has there always
Yes.
been people living in space all along while you've been alive?
Um,
Do you ever remember a time when
you,
people weren't living in space?
when people weren't living in space, I don't think it's been through the duration of my lifetime. People have been going to space since I've gotten here sometime in the 90s. Yeah. But people weren't
Uh-huh.
always living there, to my knowledge. Mhm.
Anyone who was born from 1999 on has never lived without people living in space. That's how
Really?
long we have had a space station up there running and
I did
working.
not know it's been there that long. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons China was not invited in the original one. So that's why they're launching their own now, to get that up there so that they can have one, because it's been so many years that the rest of the world has had one up there, and China's the only major country not invited. So now they're
So
doing
since
their own.
1990, just about
1999. They first started
1990.
inhabiting the space station in 99. It
Okay,
was
so yeah, so
yeah. You predated a little bit, not too much.
just a little bit, just a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
See, I'm at the far end of the opposite end of the spectrum than you, Lauren, and I'm the one who remembers sitting and watching the TV and watching them actually land on the moon, and everyone in the neighborhood coming over and gathering around the house to watch. I was a tiny little kid, but still, it's one of those things everybody remembers. It was just amazing. Just amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, going to space, even now, even though people live there, it's still kind of surreal, just kind of for its everyday folks, just here on Earth. It's like people are really living in space right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. You'd mentioned at the top that you had a story that came up that you found a thing from last week or week before.
Yes. The last week, the article about the email spying on you, I thought that was really interesting,
Yeah.
where these companies plant tracking pixels into emails that they send. And it's like an invisible image file that's very, very small. And when you open the email, the company server receives information from your device. And so they can see what kind of device you're using. They can see where you are when you're opening it. They can see what time you open it, and they can also see how many times you go back to read the email. And I was like, I went to go check my settings to make sure that I wasn't sending that kind of
Good.
information.
And anyone out there in the audience, yeah. All these are always up and running on our Tech Talk Weekly webpage. So we're the same place where you go to register to attend one of these. And if you do register, by the way, you get the recordings automatically sent to you. You can go there and watch all the old recordings and see exactly what Lauren's talking about. Yeah, that was a pretty big story, and it felt like something we could go for a long time about about that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Well, the good
there
part
was an
was that
interesting,
it's something you can
yeah,
disable. Sorry.
yeah, no. I think it's one of those stories that is kind of like the one I'm bringing up right now. It's a small little thing that just is a blip in the news, but I think it has a lot bigger ramifications for everybody. Which is why we try and pull these things out. Like here's something you should be looking at, because everybody's talking about Mars, but this is one here.
Right.
Everybody knows Watson, IBM's Watson. It's a big, the big fancy computer, pseudo AI, and IBM's going to get rid of it. They're trying to sell it, but they're just going to basically get rid of it because they can't make money on it. It's solving all sorts of problems. It could, in theory, be doing a lot of good stuff for healthcare and stuff like that, but nobody can monetize it. So they're talking about maybe getting rid of the whole thing. Is that just insane?
It is. My question is, what happens to all of that data? That's the real question for me.
Yeah, that would be that's a really interesting question, isn't it? Who owns that data? Who owns that algorithm now, I mean, it's all still going to be owned by IBM, but is anybody else going to ever have access to everything that it's learned, or all these things in that? Yeah, I think that Google also had had an augmented reality project that included glucose monitoring through contact lenses, but they couldn't find a way to make money on it, so they just stopped testing.
Mhm.
And it's like, there's other things to do than just make money, folks.
Right.
It's just
Right.
so. But I think this is one of those stories that I think people are going to go back and look at over the course of the next weeks and months as this happens, as someone's going to step up and buy this information. Like you said, someone's going to want all that data. And it's going to be like a
Absolutely.
Google, and now Google's just going to own even more AI stuff. There's a whole nother thing. We're putting together a program about AI issues in the industry. We'll see if we can do like a little special 1-hour show or something like that on that.
Definitely
But
need time
it's
for that.
just craziness. Yeah, because when your revenue dropped to only $73 billion for the year, and that's, oh, well, that's not enough for us. And I'm like, seriously?
Right. Only. Right. Yes. Only 73 billion. It's like, oh, we need to cut it out completely. Like if it's not 100 billion, then it's not
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
So that was
Now, I mean, I do want to
very
point out, I
interesting.
mean, there's some interesting stuff that goes on with it. Yeah. That, because how much data do they have? How accurate is that data? Is it marketing fluff that they can actually do these things? Is it real hardcore data that doctors are trusting and stuff like that? It seems to be pretty ambivalent on both of those right now. So, but
I did notice in the
still,
article a couple of points. One was that doctors apparently don't care to rely on it because it's not always completely accurate in diagnosing patients, which is like,
yeah.
kind of like it's a resource, but of course it's not gonna know everything, right? Um,
Exactly. No, none of us get everything right all the time. And if they can get things right
right.
99.99% of the time, then heck, if it's only 50-50,
I
then
was
you got to
just
do something else. But,
right.
well,
I
I needed a
agree.
fun story after that one. After finding that and reading through that one the other day, I was just like, no, I need something really cool. And this was the very cool story that I found this week. Normally, when I'm looking for stories, by the way, for our weekly episodes, I try not to get anything that's too hyper technical, and I try not to do anything that's like, well, this is going to be coming. I did pick this one because they've got it. They actually tested it and it worked. And the picture doesn't really do
Okay.
it justice. It is that if you can see here on our screen, this small little orange bit that's on top of the screen is the actual device. These fins coming out of there are actually memory sticks that are the electricity is being generated by the heat of your skin. Do you have cold hands or hot hands, Lauren? Are you a warm or a cold?
I think it depends on the environment. It depends. Sometimes my hands are really cold for like no reason, and other times I'm hot, so it depends.
And that's what this is all about, is it takes that heat differential in your skin and it converts it to electrical energy, and then you can use that to power devices. So if you've got a watch, like these little watch batteries that are in here are tiny little trickle charge. My watch battery in here will last me 6-8 months or so. And that would eliminate even needing to do that and take that little bit out of the waste recycle, where I don't have to throw out this battery anymore. As they get bigger, as they get more efficient, they'll actually be able to power phones, be able to do all sorts of things. So this was one of those. It's not a discovery. It's beyond a discovery. They actually have it. The University of Colorado has done it and built it and made it work. And now it's just a question of making it work for scale and how it can all go. But this could really change the world.
Yeah, I think the
Um,
concept of
yeah,
it is amazing, in finding other ways to power electronics because we know electronics aren't going anywhere. Question is, what
yeah,
happens in like extenuating circumstances, such as like what was going on in Texas, the past week or so? What happens when
yeah.
you're facing extreme temperatures, and so now you're struggling with the body heat? Can we ever truly really replace battery power?
This now see that right there. Well, you usually you're going to always have battery power in the grand scheme of things because you need a place to store the
Hmm.
energy. Which is why actually during the Texas issue, some people didn't have power issues because they had battery walls and stuff in their house that kept a basic level for them.
Right.
However, this is really geared more towards like keeping your phone or like the personal devices around you charged. But you bring up a really good point. What happens when you get overheated? Is this something I can easily see? Like, if this works, is that something you all of a sudden slap on? You have this in a band-aid form and you slap this on somebody and who's having a heat stroke, whose body's overheating, and now you can suck out some of the heat with this kind of new age material? Is that would be a real I'm just coming up with ideas off the top of my head from what you said, and that sounds like a really cool idea.
It does. Like if someone's overheating, they can become kind of like a human solar panel. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
See, you're inventing things all the time,
No.
Lauren. That is an awesome, awesome
See,
thing.
there you go. I don't know. I'm just having fun with it. But it is
No,
really
that's
a really
exactly how
cool
you should be
idea.
doing. Yeah.
Yes.
I did want to point out, we said earlier in the show, we do the monthly show. I have it up for people here. Creation Station Monthly is the name of the show. Same place you can come in and get it. We've got January and February up for you to watch. January was all about photography. We had award-winning photojournalists in there. Emily McGovern from South Florida. She has done stuff on time. Her stuff has appeared on the cover of Time and Vogue and things. Just earlier this week on Tuesday was coding with Ryan Hall, who is a local entrepreneur doing coding and programming stuff. And I think he's worked with you, hasn't he, Lauren? Has Ryan worked with you out there at
I
Our Lake?
think we made plans, and we were making plans for him to come last year to work with our kids, and then COVID happened, so it didn't happen. But
Oh,
I do remember
yay.
him.
The world changed in the
The
before
world
times, right?
changed. Yes, yes.
So I want to put something up on the screen right now so that everybody can see what it is, because this is one of the very cool things Lauren's got going on at her library. Over there at Arlick, we have, she'll tell you here in a minute, we've got these amazing artifacts and stuff that are at there. They're back in the vault. So you're not going to get a chance. I don't get a chance to go play with these things and touch them. Nobody does. But you've got these images, and they're more than just an image. I want to point out this ceremonial dancer here. So I'm bringing up the 3D model to make sure that everybody sees live exactly what it's really like. And now we've got this model here, and you can click and drag, and you can view this from any angle that you want to, look around and do things. And if you did this on your phone, you can actually use this as an AR object, augmented reality object, and you could take a selfie with it. Put this
Oh
on your face and take a
wow.
selfie with it, or
I didn't
put
know
a picture
that.
on it for somebody else. Yeah.
Wow, that is really awesome.
Let me pull that down for a moment. So tell us more about that, Lauren. What's going on out there at Arlick?
So here at Arlick, we do have a special collections department, and in that area, we have a vault. It's a vault within the special collections department, where we have a lot of historical artifacts. We have some African masks, we have some garb, traditional dress, as well as like records and books and just various materials that are rare and valuable at this point. And so there's a project happening where we have a team of people working to digitize those materials so that the public can have access to them, because under normal circumstances that is not something that you can just walk in and touch and see. And so we want to still make that available to everyone so that they can see and learn about the history of those materials. So we have a 3D printer, a 3D scanner, my apologies. And that
We
team is
have a 3D
working.
printer too out there, I think too.
Do we? If we do, I haven't seen
I
it.
think he does.
It's
I
probably a
don't know.
good.
I don't know if it's at Maine or like they move it back and forth. I'm not sure where it is right now.
Oh, okay. But here, well, I'm talking about the 3D scanner where we have a special collections, well, we did have a special collections librarian who was taking pictures of the mask that you saw. So that's available on Broward County's website where you can do a virtual tour of ARLIC and go through and see those different masks. You can see where they come from, and it usually gives like a little bit of information as far as what it was for, like if it was for a ceremony or a dance or something of that sort. But that 3D scanner really has opened a lot of doors in
Yeah.
us showing the world what we have to offer here.
And folks, when Lauren says the world, she means it. Obviously, when we're putting it up on the internet, everybody has access to it. But ARLIC is the very first library in Florida, period. And it's the first public library in the United States to upload collections like this to the internet for free for everyone to have access to and explore and play and do. So people who can't get here, they just had the Esther Roll drive-in.
Actually, that's next weekend. So
Oh,
they're
it's next
gearing
weekend.
up.
Okay, good. We got it in beforehand. Good.
Yes,
Okay.
March 4th through the 7th. Yes.
For the 100th anniversary of her, local celebrity. And so those things are there, and now we can get stuff out for ARLIC all over the world. And it's a really great project that library is working on.
Yes.
Just amazing, cool stuff going on out there. I can't wait to see what we do in August.
Yes. Yes.
August is Alex Haley's 100th. And,
oh, there's so much coming up. This is such an exciting
I
time.
know.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Just in case anybody doesn't know out there, ARLIC is the repository for all of Alex Haley's original research for Roots. So if you grew up watching Roots on TV or read the books, all of his original research is sitting in boxes at ARLIC in the vault, being saved and preserved for people. So we've got some really fun stuff out there.
Yes, I'm sure we'll have an amazing display for that later on in the year.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thank you so much for being here today, Miss Lauren. It's been a lot of fun covering all these. Let me throw up our end piece here. And my slideshow, stop that one there. Sorry about that, guys. Grabbed the wrong one. Ha. There you go. Now you can see the Tech Talk, the Creation Station at Broward.org. If you have your favorite library that you want us to feature one of these weeks, email us. If you've got a story you want us to talk about, email us, creationstation@broward.org. Thank you guys all very much for coming today. We will see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good one.